Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this June 6th, 2023 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Erin Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Erin.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's board meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our communications manager will help you troubleshoot. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door and is also posted on our website. Now I'll turn it over to Chair Fuller.
Thank you, Erin. I now call this June 6th, 2023 regular meeting to order and ask Erin to call the roll, noting that Commissioners Roderick Green and Jeffrey Schmers have excused absences. Erin.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt McDonald, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Second. Any discussion? Any additions, deletions? This is our big chance, ladies. Seeing none, Erin, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved as presented. We have two sets of minutes to approve today. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of May 16th, 2023, appearing on pages 4 through 13 of the packet?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the board meeting minutes of May 16th, 2023.
Support.
Any corrections, additions, deletions? Seeing none, Erin, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, those minutes are approved. Next, may I have a motion to accept the working session minutes of May 16th, 2023 as presented, appearing on pages 14 and 15 of the board packet?
So move.
Second.
Any additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, Erin, please.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the working session minutes as presented are approved. Next on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Erin will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments to the board.
Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make public comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our communications manager will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. At this time, there is no virtual hands raised, and there is no one in person that would like to make public comment.
Thank you, Erin. We will move on to written communications appearing on pages 16 through 23 of the board packet. Commissioners, anything you want to draw our attention to? Commissioner McCullum.
Yes, Madam Chair. I like the thank you letter on page 19. It's always good to see letters like that. Thank you. From Mr. Paluchuk. And he talks about the cul-de-sacs and Laurel Road and the work that was done. So I just want to say that, thank you to the resident who sent that in.
Commissioner Yamas, anything?
No, thank you.
All right. Moving along, we didn't have any public comments, so there's no need to be responding. New business, we have a consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 12, background appearing on pages 24 through 79.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Any items you wish to have more information on? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved as presented. We have 4 action items to address today, 3 right-of-way acquisitions and 1 property disposition. Our first action item, may I have a motion to approve this action item to acquire a right-of-way and temporary grading permit in Dexter Township as described on pages 66 through 70. The motion itself appears on page 31.
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby approves the acquisition of a 375 square foot public road easement, more particularly described in Exhibit A, and a temporary grading permit as depicted in Attachment A from the property owners, Herbert and Roberta Hines, located upon a parcel of property commonly known as 11620 North Territorial Road, Dexter Township, Michigan, with a corresponding tax identification number of D-04-16-100-007 in the amount of $23,625.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Was there any background that staff wished to provide, or if there are no questions, move on? Move on? Okay. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. Action item number 1 is approved as presented. Next, may I have a motion to approve action item number 2 to acquire a right-of-way and temporary grading permit in Dexter Township as described on pages 71 through 73. The motion itself appears on page 32.
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of Managing Director, the board hereby approves the acquisition of a 200 square foot public road easement and a temporary grading permit, more particularly described in Exhibit A, from the property owners of Kenneth and Heather Galbraith, located upon a parcel of property commonly known as 11330 North Territorial Road, Dexter Township, Michigan, with a corresponding tax identification number of D-04-15-200-014, the amount of $600.
Support.
Any questions about this action item? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, action item number 2 is approved as presented. Action item number 3, may I have a motion to approve the acquisition of a right-of-way and temporary grading permit in Dexter Township as described on pages 74 through 76. The motion itself appears once again on page 32 of the packet.
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby approves the acquisition of a 776 square foot public road easement and a temporary grading permit, more particularly described in Exhibit A from the property owner, AML Dexter LLC, located upon a parcel of property commonly known as 11485 North Territorial Road, Dexter Township, Michigan, with a corresponding tax identification number of D-04-15-300-001 in the amount of $2,300.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. Action item number 3 is approved as presented. And last, may I have a motion to approve action item number 4 to dispose of property in the Washtenaw Park subdivision in Ypsilanti Township as described on pages 77 through 79. The motion appears on page 33.
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of the Managing Director, the Board hereby approves disposal of a 24-foot strip of property lying between Watson Avenue and Cadillac Avenue in Washtenaw Park subdivision, as recorded in Library 6, page 33 plats. Washtenaw County records, being part of section 13, Ypsilanti Township, Michigan, to the adjacent property owner, KDM Land Company, LLC, via quit claim deed.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, action item number 4 has been approved as presented. Next, we have reports. I see that our County Commissioner, Ms. Caroline Sanders, is with us today. Ms. Sanders, would you like to address the board?
Just good afternoon. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. We'll do our best. Any questions for the commissioner? All right. Thank you, Commissioner Sanders. I don't believe Commissioner Light is with us today. We'll move on to the report of the road commissioners, starting with Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, Madam Chair. On May 17th, I attended the chat with the Road Commission, and there was one attendee. On May 25th, I attended the Commissioners Committee, and the group agreed upon several presentations, which I have sent to all the Washtenaw County Commissioners for their information. On May 25th, I attended the SIMCOG workshop that talked about the transportation funding. And on May 31st, I attended the Washtenaw County Road Commission spring training, which was very informative. I have also sent invitations for the Road Plus event that is happening on June 7th to Representative Jimmy Wilson, District 32, Representative Kathy Schmaltz, District 46, Representative Jason Morgan, District 23, Representative Felicia Brayback, District 33, and Senator Irwin, District 15. So far, I've heard back from most everyone. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCollum. Commissioner Yamas.
Let's see here. I watched virtual public meetings on the Carpenter Road resurfacing, construction kickoff. I love the pictures and the introduction of that particular video. The Parker Road culvert replacement. I also attended virtually the SEMCOG Transportation 101 held on 5/25. Had technical difficulties, so they sent me it on video so I could watch again. And on 31st, I attended the Washtenaw County Road Commission training session all day. That's my report.
Thank you. I will report that on May 18th, I participated in a meeting with County Commissioner Jason Maciejewski of District 1 here with Director of Engineering, Mr. McDonnell, and our Managing Director, Ms. Siddle. We reviewed and answered Commissioner Maciejewski's questions about road projects in his district. On May 23rd, I joined Road Commissioner Joanne McCullum at the Habitat for Humanity breakfast, where I learned about their wide-ranging services. On May 24th, I served as the road commissioner at the weekly chat session where there were no visitors. May 25th, I attended SEMCOG's webinar on transportation funding. May 31st, I too attended the all-day Washtenaw County Road Commission spring training convened at Washtenaw Community College. On June 1st, I attended the Sharon Township Board meeting to acknowledge and thank Supervisor Peter Sarathakis as he retires from that township's board. And this morning, I attended SEMCOG's webinar on pensions and OPEB. That concludes my report.
Okay, Madam Chair, I have a correction.
And Commissioner Yamas.
I also attended the May 23rd Habitat for Humanity breakfast fundraiser. That's all I want to add. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. We will move on to the report of the managing director, her staff, and any road commission updates that she might have to share. Cheryl.
Good afternoon. I'll start by asking if anyone has any questions about the different reports that were included in the board packet.
I do not see any.
Well, my report's actually pretty quick. Thank you for recognizing the spring training event that we had last week. I would, excuse me, specifically like to call out Tiffany Oliphant and the communication staff. That was a big lift on their part. I think that overall it was very successful. We've received quite a bit of positive feedback, couple of little minor things, but I figure if that's as bad as it gets, we're doing pretty good here. We do have a survey out to staff so that we can see how they enjoyed it. Hopefully they found it a useful day and what we can do potentially even better for next year. So that was a big effort on our part, but I think well worth it. The other thing that I'm pleased to share, I did hear back, it looks like myself, Hoy Vaughn, and then Matt McDonnell will probably be joining us for the working session to the Board of Commissioners, the county board, to discuss renew and restore of the county road and non-motorized millage. So we'd like to start that conversation with the BLC, but we're pleased to share information with them in July. Right now, the meeting is scheduled for July 5th, but it appears that they do have on their agenda moving it from July 5th to July 12th. So as soon as we have confirmation on that, I'd be happy to share the specific date and time with our commissioners as well. But right now, I plan to attend. I believe Matt will be there with me and Coy as well. So any questions for me before I hand it over to staff?
Commissioner McCollum, I'm sorry.
Just curious of the attendance for the spring training. It seems like it was a full house.
That was their assignment for the day. So in theory, we should have had 127 people there. We did have several people who had previous obligations, so they were on annual leave. But that was their assignment for the day. So yes, we had pretty full house, which was good,
Yeah.
which was very good.
Thank
It was
you.
it was very nice to see everybody together. It's been a very long time. I know we did pancake breakfast just to, to thank our staff for everything that they do heading into winter. But this is the first time we were able to do an agency-wide training event in a long time. So that was nice.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yamas. Thank you.
I really enjoyed that. It was nice to sit with all of the employees and get to know them better, to give them the opportunity to talk to us. But I really enjoyed the presentation.
That is nice. That is helpful for us to hear. It's funny because going into the event, it was all this, what do you mean we're going to have assigned seatings? What do you mean you're going to mix it up? But I mean, I've had numerous people say how much they enjoyed getting to meet other people. I mean, we honestly are not that big of an organization, but having said that, we're spread out across, 5 different, yards. And it's hard sometimes, even when we're all in the main yard. I mean, people are out and about. That's the nature of our jobs. So we really don't have the opportunity to mix very often. So yes, it was fun. It was fun to mix it up in the morning and then in the afternoon to sit with our different groups, crews, so to speak. So, but thank you. We do appreciate the feedback.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Matt Washtenaw, our Director of Engineering.
Good afternoon, Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Got some good news to report. We did hear feedback from the Water Resource Commissioner's Office. They had the ARPA Stormwater Program, and we were working with our township partners, supporting them on applications. Turns out 7 of our townships got 12 project awards for culvert replacements that will be partnering with them. That totals over $700,000 in grant money, which is an outstanding thing.
How many submissions were submitted?
I believe
You
there
said-
were 14, and of the 14, 12 are funded.
Okay. Great. How much was the pool? How much money was available?
I believe it was a little over 700,000, and then the total amount is 2 million. So they are going to do multiple rounds.
Ah,
There's some discussion whether they do one final round or 2 subsequent rounds. So that's really up to the Water Resource Commissioner's Office as to how they manage those funds.
so the 2 that weren't funded, is there?
Could be a likelihood of resubmittal, potentially,
resubmitted?
potentially.
Great.
Um,
That is good news.
Yes, very, very good news. We will be working with our township partners and ultimately entering into agreements, recognizing there's grant money, but we'll be splitting what's not covered by the grant between the township and the road commission 50-50. And that was a big collaborative effort. Obviously, our operations department did a lot of estimating. Our engineering department staff, James Wee and Aaron Burkholz, both worked very diligently in working with our partners to support them, to supply them with applications and information. So it was well worth the effort.
So I don't understand. If a project is bid for $10 and it costs us 12, then the township and the road commission is splitting that extra
So
2?
if it's $100,000 culvert,
Okay.
the grant money would cover 50% of the cost.
Ah,
So that
okay.
the township would be reimbursed 50%. So of the remaining portion, 50,000,
uh-huh.
we'll be splitting that between the township and the road commission.
Okay.
These are all on local roads, so
Mhm.
our local road culvert policy comes into play.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the template we're going to be using for language for our townships.
This construction season?
Actually, great question, and I was going to get to that.
Oh, sorry.
Ultimately, no, this is a great question. So we still have to get all the permits, we still have to get all the agreements.
Mm,
And so the likelihood is that the majority of these culverts would be replaced next year. If we can get to a few this fall, late summer, that'd be great. But that will depend on a lot of things. But the vast majority would be next year.
okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Yamas.
So these are all in local roads,
Correct.
meaning in the city?
Local
Not
roads in
town-
our townships.
In our townships.
Yep.
Okay,
And generally speaking, local collector roads.
okay.
Meaning not primary roads, the local
Yes.
road system where we require cost participation from someone other than the road commission.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And the road commission wouldn't be, it doesn't have jurisdictions over cities and
Right.
villages, so these projects would not be within their boundaries.
Correct. So that was the one thing I had to report. Also, projects are going well. One of our major projects, Michigan Avenue, that is a full closure between I-94 and Hewitt. Curb went down this week, which is great. So we're hoping they'll start to schedule paving work, and we may get that open before July, but that's really dependent on the contractor's availability. The amount of resources they can put towards it. So they have 8 weeks, but we're hoping that that'll shorten up that window because they're making such good progress.
A lot of traffic
Yes,
trying to find its way.
in that area, in particularly with all the work going on US 23,
Mhm.
any of the roads in and around there, it gets pretty congested quickly. So that's all I had.
Any questions for
Questions for me?
Matt?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Next up, we have Dan Ackerman, our Director of Finance and IT.
Good afternoon, board. How's everybody doing? Okay?
Good. How are you,
Good.
Dan?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
So before I start my,
Dan Ackerman, Director.
sorry, Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT. I think that's the second time I forgot that in like the last two board meetings.
Just tested me to see if.
No,
I'm
that's
paying
good. I
attention.
appreciate you, keep you on your toes. Before I start my report, I do want to acknowledge the passing of Pete Bailius, who was the finance director for Washtenaw County.
Oh,
He was finance director from 1995 to 2009, and he actually was with the county almost 38 years. And so I was fairly new to this role and new to the road commission at the time he was at the county. And the year prior, the audit prior to when I took over in this role, we had what's called a reportable condition on our audit. And basically, the road commission said we had X amount of dollars in cash, and the county said we had a different amount. And the discrepancy was, I believe, over $200,000, which, is significant in today, but I think that was the 1995 audit. Definitely significant back then. And so our auditors obviously pointed it out to the board. And they said, we need to figure out what's going on. The county treasurer's office laughs at me because I'll balance $25 million and they'll say there's 5 cents difference. We need to adjust that. There's a certain amount you can just write off. I want it to balance to the penny, if at all possible, because as you know, sometimes if it's off by 5 cents, it's off, high or low. Anyway, there's usually more to it. So that was the challenge. Our auditors obviously wanted us to get to the bottom of that. The county, knew something was going on. My boss at the time, Bob Polens, was like, yeah, that's kind of a lot of money to, not agree on. But Pete and a person by the name of Ed Risky started meeting with me. We would meet monthly. And we would talk about what reports that the road commission was receiving and how we could balance and so on. And so it took several months, but we worked collaboratively together. And, Pete wanted to know, and either the road commission was right or the county was right. We all wanted to get to the bottom of it, make sure our books agreed, and then move forward. So they finally came up with a report where I felt comfortable reconciling the road commission's cash, because there's not a lot of cash activity. We maybe do a couple deposits a month. We pay our vendors twice a month, typically, and our employees. We receive the monthly checks from the state of Michigan. So there's not a lot of cash activity. So I'm like, it can't be that difficult, but we worked tirelessly with Pete as well, and they came up with a report, and I had to work backwards. I worked backwards like an entire year almost. And then I found it. The county had accidentally double expensed one of our accounts payable runs or something. And so I still remember that day. And I told my boss at the time. He was real excited, because I was still kind of the new guy and they're taking a chance on me anyway. And I told the county, and they acknowledged it and made the correction. And moving forward, we've been pretty close. We've had some issues here and there, but for the most part, I definitely try. You should always balance cash on a monthly basis. And again, I try and balance it to the penny. And if there's discrepancies, try and communicate that. The county treasurer's office has had some challenges, first with COVID and turnover, staffing shortages. They're in a better place now. And some of the staff at the county treasurer's office, I'm meeting with them monthly as well, just to make sure we improve the communication. But anyway, so I just wanted to acknowledge that, Pete had passed recently, and, he he meant a lot to Washtenaw County and to me as well, especially early on in my career. So,
Remember that?
and I don't know, did you guys hear that he had passed?
I had not heard.
I believe at the next county board meeting, there's a resolution acknowledging his service to the county, but so you can look for that if you want. So
Okay.
well, anyway, I just wanted to share that. I appreciate the approval of the Michigan pension grant. Was it, I think, authorized signer or something, whatever it's called. Once I get the certified resolution, I'm ready to go to submit all the paperwork. June 15th is the deadline, as a reminder. Interestingly enough, last week, a member of the state treasury called me and said, hey, we haven't received your application, just want to make sure the deadline's coming. And so I just thought that was interesting. I was asking for probably a month or two for a sample resolution from them, and they were actually calling me to say, hey, are you submitting this? And so I had to explain to them that, this has to go to the board. Our board only meets every couple of weeks, and that yes, definitely we're going to submit it. So a real nice person, and I was actually somewhat impressed that they reached out. And I also have a good contact. So after I submit it, I'm going to call this person and she's going to look and make sure everything's okay. Because I said, well, what if you submit something and it takes a while for them to review it? And now it's after the 15th and they said, oh, you didn't dot your I here or this or that, is it rejected? And so I want to try to avoid all that. So I'll be reaching out to her to hopefully have her walk it through and make sure everything is in good order. So, and then hopefully I can stop thinking about it until hopefully they give us the approval letter. So, but I appreciate you guys approving that.
So the question I have is, we've been asking and asking about this, and you've been reporting and moving as best you can, as quickly as you can.
Yes.
So I thought this was a first come, first serve. Is that?
So there's like 750 million that's available statewide. But someone did the math of the eligible, because you have to be below that 60% threshold of funded level. And that is in the 600 million. So basically, if everybody submitted everything that they're owed, there's still going to be money left over. So I think that's going to be the bigger question is, what is the state going to do with any excess money? So
In the roads.
yeah, that's right. But that was a concern that, it's taking so long. We wanted, Cheryl and I were trying to decide, do we just do our best with the resolution and so we can get it through and get in the queue, or should we wait? And we felt we should wait. And then when I heard that there's more money than, that municipalities are eligible for, then I wasn't as concerned, just as long as we get it in by the 15th.
This is good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other
Anything?
questions on that at all? And then I'll be shifting gears to that PA 202 report, which is the report on pension and our OPEB and funded levels. And believe it or not, we started talking about Q2 budgets. We had a meeting this morning with the leadership team and just kind of talking about where we are now, what adjustments we'll have to make in 2023. And as a reminder, we'll also be estimating 2024 and 2025, just to give you a snapshot of where we think we are and where we're going. So that will definitely be a good discussion, but that won't be until the second meeting in July, the working session.
And do I remember right, and I know Cheryl, I've asked you this 100 times, that the current millage concludes construction year 24,
Correct.
right?
Right.
Okay, so
So-
we're looking at 25.
Yes. And conservatively, then we will not include that in our estimates
Okay,
for 25.
okay.
Mhm. Until it's actually approved and so on, then we can add it.
Do you have a sketch in your hip pocket for 25?
Oh, I'm sure.
Because that ballot question would be on, we're hopeful that the Board of Commissioners will place it on the August ballot.
That is what we will be requesting, yes.
Yes, so we would know in August for the coming construction season then, right? Whether we
I believe
are
so.
going to be, okay.
Yeah, and I know all the projects would be already in the program and everything.
Oh, right. We would already have the
Yes,
plan. We would
yes.
already know exactly
Mhm.
what would what would be proposed for the 2025 construction season. That would be on the August 24th ballot, ideally.
Yeah.
That's what we're requesting, which
Right.
means then this board would be discussing it at the November 2024 working session,
Okay,
hopefully with approval of the 2025 budget. Usually the first board meeting in December is when this board will approve the subsequent year's
Mhm.
budget.
We have to, right? Or
Yes.
we can't open our doors.
Technically,
Right.
Right.
We give you 2 meetings in December, but we like to go with the first one.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right, in
Yes.
case we have a weather event.
Or something.
Any sort of event, right? Right.
Hope for
Okay,
the best, plan for the worst.
so that would theoretically, assuming our commissioners on the county board approve putting this on the ballot, that would be for 24, 25, 26, and 27. Will we be asking for another
It would
4
be
years?
construction years
25.
25 through 28.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So Commissioner Sanders, I hope you're listening, and if you have any questions, you'll be primed and ready to ask them in July.
Okay, moving on, for IT, Josh continues to move right along with our 23 computer refreshes. He's about 81% complete.
Wow.
Our cell phone rollout's 96% complete. Chris just scheduled an IT power hour for migration from Z Drive to OneDrive. And has a great PowerPoint as far as why are we doing this and the advantages and so on. We're receiving a patch from Precision tomorrow to resolve any remaining issues with the financial software, and hopefully we'll be good to go after that. And that's all I have.
Do we use the Z Drive?
I want to say your new laptops, you're on OneDrive now.
Correct.
Yes,
We are.
yes.
Okay.
So you don't even have to worry about that. So,
All right.
but you know, the PowerPoint presentation is, I think there's a lot of good information in there. So
Okay.
any questions?
Anything for Dan? You don't say anything.
Okay.
Thank you,
Great,
Mr.
thank you.
Ackerman.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan. Last but not least, we have Adam Lape, our Director of Operations.
Good afternoon, Adam Lake, Director of Operations. Just a few announcements today. Pretty exciting news here that the chip seal program will start June 12th on Fletcher Road. So that's Freedom and Lima Township between Pleasant Lake and Scioto Church Road. So we're excited to get that up and going. That's when about 20 more people come together, and we'll seal about 36 miles of road this year. So excited to keep moving, and for us, we're pretty good at it and normally do quite a few more miles, and you know, part of our system is give us time to pave it so we can seal it. So this year it'll be kind of a drop in the hat, and we'll get through it real quick and then come back and fog seal everything, and then get to maybe doing culverts or some other work for the rest of the season. So we're pretty excited to get that going. The local road program is very robust this year. After today's meeting, 19 of the 20 township local road agreements will have been approved. At least 1 or 2 agreements will have been approved. And that's totaling somewhere around $6.5 million right now. There's a little room for fluctuation, and we still have 1 more township that's likely a large contributor to that. So
Who's the outstanding township?
we're still working with Ypsilanti Township,
Okay,
planning hot mix asphalt, so HMA program work with them. So it takes a little bit more time to plan that and then for them to allocate funding. So if that's successful, we can touch $8-9 million. So we're in a good place. It's been a good partnership with the townships. We're grateful for that. And the material storage building, still out there, still getting built. I probably should never say this on the record, but we would like a little bit of rain would be helpful. We're waiting. Yeah, I know. Not something I ever probably should wish for, but we need a little bit of moisture. You know, we're basically at a point where we're backfilling and starting to stabilize the subgrade so we can prepare for the foundation work. So keeping ourselves busy, but a little bit of moisture isn't so bad either. So it is ongoing, and we are excited to see it change every day out there. So please, if anybody's here anytime throughout the week, come find me. We can go out back. We can even get on, look on the camera and kind of see what things are happening. So it's an exciting time.
is it on track schedule wise, Adam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yep. We are good to go. So if there aren't any questions, that is all I had for this afternoon.
Commissioner Yamas.
I want to thank you for having that board moved.
Oh,
Michigan
yes.
Avenue. It
Yeah,
was
well-
creating a lot of confusion.
Yeah, and Aaron and James helped as well. You know, James overseeing the project. There was a message board that we had moved around and Gloria had touched base with us, I think, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. So we got with the contractor, got stuff switched around. So really, Aaron and James get to thank you for that, and I'll forward that on, and I'm sure Matt will as well. They had the plans out before I even got upstairs to talk to them. So
Oh, great.
yeah,
Okay.
James was on it. So they are crack staff up there. And that's also another reason why our culvert program now is going to be so successful. Those two gentlemen. So,
We doing culvert with local forces?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
yep, that'll be
Okay.
our staff doing those culverts.
Any other questions for Adam? All right.
Thank you.
Bill. Assistant staff.
All right. I ask everyone to please note that we next meet on June 20th, 9 a.m. working session. I believe that's HR,
Correct.
June 20th.
Benefits and Employee Central.
Okay, employee attrition and retention benefits overview on the 20th and working session. And then at 1 o'clock, our regular board meeting, virtual chat sessions every Wednesday, noon to 1, June 7th tomorrow. Commissioner Yamas has agreed to stand in for Commissioner Green, who is away. And on May 24th, Commissioner Yamas was already scheduled, and at this point in time, she intends to cover that session as well. If there is no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.